You may wonder why I am sitting very informally this morning, because that's what it is this morning. The message or the word, we're just going to sit and have a conversation. Is that all right? Psalms 8 and 2 from the Easy Read version states, "From the mouths of children and babies comes songs of praises to you." From the mouths of children and babies come songs of praises to you. They sing of your power to silence your enemies. They sing of your power to silence your enemies who were seeking revenge. Our children did a wonderful job today, outpouring what was impressed upon them in the form of worship and adoration towards our God. They sang songs of triumph and victory and freedom and danced of the power from above. Their voices cried out loud, and their mouths declared the word of the Lord, so that the gates of hell would not prevail, and so that their enemies would flee. Yes, children, teens have enemies. Yes, children and teens go through. Yes, children, teens, and babies, contrary to popular belief, have struggles. Yes, they too deal, cope, and go through just like adults. With their voices, there was a conviction in what they were saying and who they were saying them to. Oftentimes, as children, their opinions and words are silenced or snuffed out because they are indeed children and need to stay in a child's place. Their expressions are drowned by the older people around them that think that they know more than they ought. Children's words carry the weight of their needs, their wants, and their desires, and has done so since they were infantile. As babies, they would cry, scream, yell when they were hurt, hungry, needed changing, to be held, or to be loved. And as a response, we, their caretakers, would be patient and kind and gentle, tending and dissecting their every need, discerning their cries for help or attention. Likewise, today's youth are crying out for one reason or another. Yet, we, the adults, have not listened. I've come this morning to give a public service announcement. They are crying, and we're not listening. The same energy that was placed on children when they were babies needs to be given at every stage of their life. There is a grave need to listen and to not just bark commands. Today, teens' words or expressions are being misconstrued and are misunderstood. They are misinterpreted to be something that they are not. Should we listen intently with the same fervor as we did when they were smaller, they would be a lot better off, both mentally and emotionally. As a result of our lack thereof, today's youth are left feeling lost and confused and not knowing where to turn. When they don't have a voice or a means to outlet, they result to ill coping in forms of acting out, rebelling, self-harm, sexual deviance, drug use, and other mental challenges. And yes, I am referring to those teens that are in the church. Suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst young people. And at no time during the studies does it differentiate between the church kids and the secular kids. They're all lumped in there together. The studies does not differentiate or does not discriminate between whether or not this child that took its life believed in God or not. This public service announcement seeks to provide context to the call to action for us to change our current perspective and how we deal with engaging our youth. After working with children for over 15 years, one common denominator from all youth, be it the at-risk youth that I serve on my secular job and be it the youth that I serve in a ministry, is that all of them wish that the adults that they care most about would just hear them. Did you hear me say both the at-risk youth and the youth of the church have the same need and desire, and that is to be heard and to be seen? Kids desire that their adults, the adults, be it their parents, teachers, counselors, youth leaders, coaches, pastors, employers, etc., listen without judgment. I'm going to say it again. They desire that we listen without judgment. Yes, we don't understand. Yes, it don't make sense. But they are not calling for it to make sense or for us to understand, but rather we just listen. Listen without inhibitions. Yes, they know you've been on earth longer than they have. You don't have to repeat that. Yes, they know that you've been through the storm and the rain. You don't have to say that. At that moment, it is not about you, it is about them. They require that the other people listen, the older people listen to understand and not to respond. So often as parents of young people, we want to tell you what you're supposed to do. And that's it. And in this season of their lives, they want a mutual conversation. They want us to be on the same page. Not that they are the authority figure, but rather that they can communicate and have a consensual conversation to, again, the adult that they care about the most.
Welcome to New Remnant Worship Center with Pastor Marcus and Lady Kim Moten.
Social media family. I am Pastor Marcus Moten. We are New Remnant Worship Center. Listen, it's going down. 6001 County Road 47, St. Florine, Alabama. If you are unsaved, unchurched, disconnected, I personally invite you to come and worship with us. You ought to want to come to be connected. 6001 County Road 47, 10:15 every Sunday. You are welcome. You are invited to come worship with us.
They need for our emotions to be in check while we listen. Guys, adults, men, and women, we cannot listen to them when we are angry. Because the anger that we are feeling and going through will rule out every time. And contrary to popular belief, kids, youth, children, babies pick up on that anger and discontentment and frustration. And guess what that causes them to do? Shut down. Because we are projecting our inhibitions on them at that time when all they wanted us to do was just listen. They need for our emotions to be in check so that they may learn appropriate ways to respond to the weight of the world that is on their shoulders. Automatically, someone was already turned off by that statement. Because what issues or struggles or dire needs of teens could they possibly be stressed out about? Well, after working with kids for about 20 plus years, they are stressed and overwhelmed and frustrated and tired. And a lot of their pressures stem from those that are in their home. They have to deal with the pressures of understanding what's right and what's wrong. They have to contend to what type of person they're going to become and what future aspirations will they have, or what identity should I take on, or how am I supposed to conduct myself in this setting, and how am I supposed to deal with my emotions, and how am I supposed to deal with everyday walks of life. They have to struggle with mommy and daddy's issues and struggles, and try very hard not to be emotionally turmoiled by those struggles. And if we were sensitive to that, knowing that we're not perfect, knowing that we too have struggles, we would be more empathetic when they themselves are going through. The reality is, children face their own demons and adversities each day. And we, as the grown-ups in their lives, have done a poor job by addressing them. To be effective in this season of their lives, we must be empathetic, patient, compassionate, and not forgetting where we ourselves have come from. We too were teens. We too had issues. We too smoked the dope. We too acted out. We too sexed around. But as soon as they do, oh my gosh, what happened? We're so insensitive to them when they are dipping and dabbing and experimenting just like we did. And not being empathetic and transparent enough to say, son, daughter, mommy struggled too. Let me tell you what that did to me. Contrary to popular belief, please hear me with everything you got. Children do want to know what you went through so that they know how to conduct themselves. Do not continue to hide your struggles from your kids. You're only crippling them in their progress. Every teen has told me the same thing. Well, I know something's going on with mom and daddy, but they ain't saying nothing. I heard mama up crying all night. I know daddy upset her, but nobody's talking about it. When I got up that morning and asked what's going on, they said, fine, and just finished cooking me breakfast. So then now they're harboring that all day. And you wonder why they mad or upset or frustrated. Because we've not been honest about our own struggles so that they can have a friend in dealing with what they're going through. We must not project our insecurities or bad experiences on them. Talking to them is one thing. Telling them not to do something is another. There are some of our students that are students. There are some of our youth that are very fearless. And they want to try different things that are appropriate. Don't miss what I'm saying. But because we're scared and we don't want them to move off, we don't know what God is calling them to. We don't know what God is saying. We don't know who God will have them be. But instead, because we didn't go nowhere and we're still in our hometown, our child got to be. How fair is that to them and the future in which God called them to have? If we as parents would start looking at our children the way in which God does, in that they are God's children, we are just supposed to steward them, they would be better off from us. What's happened is we've said, I brought you into this world and I'll take you out of it. And unintentionally put ourselves in the seat of God. We have told our children, indirectly and directly, that my word rules over any word, including God's. I know what's best for you. What else is that saying, Lady Vicky? I know what you should do. I know. I'm your parent, and I know. Parents, have we consulted with the Father on what He has for them? Or rather, we want this life or future for them, so that is what we project onto them. And ain't consulted the Father for nothing. And they feel that, they see that, and they are highly frustrated by that. Why? Because they tell me. I close with informing us that mental illness is real. Mental challenges is real. Emotional instability and immaturity of today's youth are real. And again, I am not differentiating between church youth and secular youth. It's all the same. We either decide today to be a part of the problem or develop a solution. And listening to our teens and our babies a lot more.
You have been listening to New Remnant Worship Center. Join us again next week as we continue to keep the faith in these troubled times. And until then, remember Acts 17 and 28, for in Him we live, move, and have our being.